Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Oh, no, they're sucking me back in. The Mets with runners on first and third, down 3-0. Welcome back in to Follow the Money. I'm Dustin Sweetelson. Alongside John Jastrzemski, we appreciate you making us part of your Memorial Day Monday, however you may be tuning in. Sirius XM Channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, radio affiliates across the United States of God Bless America. So an update at Citi Field, bottom third, Reds with a 3-0 lead. Your in-game total, 8.5. That's one run higher than the closer of 7 and a hook. And right now you can catch the Mets at plus 255 or lay 359 with the Reds. The Reds bullpen's pretty bad, but as much as I want to have rose-colored glasses on for my Mets, I am not willing to back them right now, which, by the way, that number did just jump to almost 4-1, 3.5-1 right now in the Mets in-game, John.
That's a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
I told you guys before I had some pre-show adversity, I wanted to get in on Cincy. And now I'm kind of glad I didn't because, Dusty, this is the first time we've worked together. I would not take sides against the family like that. You're a Met fan. I did not know you were a Met fan. And, like, I don't want to have that bad juju karma as we're sitting there watching the show. You know
this. You know this. Every Mets fan is a self-hating Met fan at their heart, so they're willing to bet against the Mets.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't want to bring that negative energy into the air the first time you meet me. You know, let's do a couple of shows together, and then I could do it in the future. You know?
Hey, we got a few more coming up. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully talking about a Knicks sweep of the Cavs. We'll be in together on Wednesday. Before we get to tonight, Game 4, Cavs and the Knicks in Cleveland. Just a quick update on the live action across baseball. Extras in Baltimore, and by the way, Tampa Bay is up 4-2. How'd they get that in extras? Well, it was Mesa Jr. with a 2-run shot in the top half of the 11th inning. They just find dudes. They find random players that just step up and in key moments contribute and make things happen. Mesa Jr. hitting 200 on the season, but ends up hitting a 2-run shot. It's Tampa Bay 4, Baltimore 2. I may not be cashing my second plus money bet of the day as Pete Alonso is at the dish right now for Baltimore, and things are not going well for him. Now, for your Yankees, things looking pretty solid here in the 6th inning. 2-1 still on top of the Royals. We're looking at an in-game total 6.5 right now. The Bombers are minus 293, plus 207 the other way with Kansas City. So feeling pretty good about your Yankees right now.
Yeah, the only thing that would give me some concern, the Yankee bullpen has not been great over the last few weeks, so I'd like to see a little margin here. Nice to see Bellinger, whose home road splits are crazy. Like, he's one of the best players in baseball when he's playing at home. When he's on the road, he's been absolutely atrocious. Him homering on the road, maybe a sign of things to come. Maybe not, because he just struck out against Michael Wacha. But that's we may be in for a sweat. Like, that's a juicy price in a 1-run game in the 6th inning. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a game about to get going, by the way, at Oracle Park in San Francisco. Landon Roop and the Giants taking on Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks. Arizona's plus 108, minus 131 with San Fran. Total in the game is 8. So you got a D-backs team coming into this one. They took 3 or 4 from Colorado over the weekend. They swept San Francisco in the series prior, so that makes them winners of 7 of 8 coming into this game. San Francisco took 2 or 3 from the White Sox, which snapped a 4-game skid for them. Merrill Kelly, his last time out was against these Giants. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts. Over his last 3 starts, been pretty good with a 2.05 ERA. On the other side, Landon Roop, his last start was against Arizona. Just 1 earned run, 6 innings, 7 hits against these Diamondbacks. He's kind of been every other. If you just look at the game logs for him, he's also better on the road than he is at home. ERA at home is 4.22. Arizona hitters actually have pretty good numbers against him in a small sample size. 333 average, 879 OPS. Diamondbacks enter this game averaging 5.33 runs per game their last 3. San Fran hitters not as good against Merrill Kelly in their careers in a small sample size. I kind of like the dog plus 108 with Arizona. But instead, I think the over 8 might be the play, and I don't really love betting totals over at Oracle Park.
Well, I'll pass on a total because of what you just said. That park, no thanks.
Yeah.
Hard pass. I'm not taking the underdog, so it's just to stay away. I'm with you on Arizona, though. I like the way they've been playing. They coming off a good series. And you mentioned Merrill Kelly. His ERA for the season is absolutely atrocious. But if you kind of peel back the layers and look at his last 3 or 4 starts, they have been better. And this line is moving with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I clearly like that. This is one of my best bets for the day. I'm in on it. Arizona, give me that plus 113 on the money line. I think they take down San Francisco.
Let's do it. Let's ride as a family here. Let's do it together. We're going to take the plus price. I'm getting plus 110 on Merrill Kelly. Thank you very much. We are locked and loaded. By the way, Baltimore did just play a run. No out in the 11th, and they have the tying run on second base. Pete Alonso drove whoever was the ghost runner on second in, and now Baltimore has a chance to potentially tie things up. That's a single to left. I don't know if that's going to play to run, though, is it? It is. Oh, no. Play at the plate. Safe. We're tied up at Camden Yards. My Baltimore bet is still alive. You got yourself a sweat
here with Rays Orioles in the afternoon. We like this.
Hey, you love to see it. Look at that. The O's as Pete Alonso scores from second on a single to left. Words I really didn't think I'd be saying today. And now Baltimore with nobody out and a runner in scoring position, they have a chance to walk this thing off. And remember, we touched on it at the beginning. Tampa Bay has won 9 series openers coming into today. I can get off my plus 114 with 115 with Baltimore and take Tampa right now at plus 288, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it right now as the Orioles are in a really good spot here in the bottom of the 11th.
Well, there's got to be some sense of a market correction coming for the Tampa Bay Rays, right? Like, I'm not ready to say, Dusty, that Baltimore is about to turn their season around no matter what happens in this game, because I look at what I thought I was going to see from a pitching standpoint with them. Their rotation is just totally depleted. I mean, they have just been depleted across the board with their pitching staff. Tampa, they keep winning these games. Like, they're going to be disrespected, I feel like, all year. Books are maybe starting to catch on a little bit, but not enough. Not enough. Okay. We'll see.
I'm on their season win total over 76.5. That was one of the positive ones.
You can cash that one now. I'm not mushing it. You can cash that one.
Okay.
That's a given.
I'm going to ask you later in the show, how many teams can win the World Series? Tampa Bay's odds are 15-1. I want you to think long and hard about it. Would you put them in the category of teams that can win a World Series? Because to me, the list is shorter than I'd like to say. Like, first time working together, I think you'll come to know I am someone here on the network who's not afraid to look stupid. I mean, I'm very good at it. Comes very naturally. But I don't mind taking a lot of long shots and looking, because I only need one to be live. I only need one to hit and for me to do something to make some money.
Get a dream.
But
correct.
Even for someone like me who likes to make the case for so many long shots, I am struggling to look deep down the World Series board to find a team that makes sense. And right now at 15-1, I'm not saying Tampa can't win the World Series yet, but you can't bet them at 15-1. That is such a short number.
It is a short number, but we're talking about value. I don't know if you feel this way. I feel like you have to go long shot in the American League.
Yes. Because
of the prowess of the Dodgers. And if it's not the Dodgers, who are you looking at? Atlanta as the other team that you would really, really like? The folks in the Midwest aren't going to want to hear this. Sorry, I can't take the Cubs seriously as a World Series team. I can't, number one. Milwaukee, nice regular season team, super well run as an organization. How many times do you got to get burned with the Milwaukee Brewers in the postseason? If you think Milwaukee's going to the World Series, I got another. I'll take your action. Please send it my way. I'd be happy to book your bet. In the AL, though, you could poke holes in the Yankees. Cleveland doesn't win in the postseason. Seattle's been underwhelming to start the year. That, to me, is where you can find a team to maybe go and take you on a ride. I don't know if you feel that way, Dusty. Long shot, I'm circling the American League side of things, not the National League side of things.
Yeah, when we get to our 3 futures bet, a third of the way through the season, I do have an American League team that I think is absolutely in a buy low spot at this point in the season, that the number's only going to shorten up on them. In the National League, look, I've had Milwaukee the last couple of years. You know how brutal it is to have a 40-1 on the Brewers to win the National League last year and not be able to do anything against that ticket because they get swept by the Dodgers? Like, I mean, that's where we're at with Milwaukee. They need someone else to knock out the Dodgers, right? They needed last year. They needed San Diego to knock off the Dodgers if they're going to win the NL. And to me, that's you're asking too much of everyone else around you. To bet Milwaukee, who I think is 11-1 right now, if they were going to win the National League, like I don't think you can do anything with them because of that situation they find themselves in.
Dusty, curiously, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know the Dodgers were a monster favorite in NLCS. What were they making you lay? Like 300 with the Dodgers against Milwaukee last year?
It was something pretty crazy. Now, I got lucky because the Dodgers played really bad baseball down the stretch last year, if you remember. Their World Series odds at the beginning of the playoffs were 5-1. So I had all these futures. Like I had, as I mentioned, Milwaukee 40-1, 30-1, somewhere like that to win the NL. I had 25-1, I think, or 30-1 on Seattle to win the whole thing. I had so many big futures. I was like, screw it. I'll just take 5-1 on the Dodgers. That's double the odds have been all year. I don't know if we're going to get that discount. I think books learned their lesson last year that the second they put the Dodgers 3-1 or higher, they're going to see a ton of action. That's why they're currently sitting on Memorial Day, still 2-1. And we may be running out of time before we're able to like catch a price here on the Dodgers the rest of the way.
Yeah, listen, books are not dropping Dodger prices.
No,
they're not doing it. Why should you? Based upon the last 2 years. Perez, by the way, just homered for the Royals, tied it 2. So I told you, Yankees got to score a run or two here.
And by the way, Tampa just got out of it. They just got 2 out. Baltimore bunters.
And do you want more bad news? I'll give you more bad news.
Yes.
It is now 7-0. 7-0 Cincinnati.
You got to be like, I'm going to lose my under all because of the Reds and a Nolan McLean start. That's absolutely bonkers. You have Perez with a bomb to left center. 2-2 in the 6th. We're looking at the Yankees minus 130. That's where we closed. Minus 101 with KC. Total 6.5. At this point, I'm just torturing myself. Tampa Bay's going to find a way to win this game in extra innings. Okay. We'll put the baseball to the side. We'll keep you posted on all the live action. But when we return, John's got a bet on a Knicks player. I've got 2 Cavs props. We preview Game 4 Eastern Conference Finals next.
Let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that almost feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit's due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. There's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on the annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, back to the show.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Dustin Swedelson alongside John Jastrzemski. It's Follow the Money. We're in for Mitch and Paul today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And at some point, I'll learn my lesson. The Tampa Bay Rays in the 12th inning are now out in front of the Orioles 5-4. I've had several opportunities to take a plus price the other way with the Rays to get off my plus 115 with the Orioles. They're just going to break my heart here tonight, JJ.
Yeah, listen, you're learning a valuable lesson, though, Dusty. When in doubt, stay away from fading the Tampa Bay Rays until they give you a reason to do so, you know?
This team, it doesn't make sense. Now, coming into the year, you looked at the pieces, you're like, okay, hold on. They're doing a lot of reclamation projects. Steven Matz and Nick Martinez and Cedric Mullins and Gavin Lux. You're saying, okay, I get it. Tampa Bay feels like they can squeeze more out of these guys than they've been getting the last few years. But I thought that meant trading them at the deadline to acquire prospects for a rebuild. Apparently, Tampa Bay knew what they were doing, and they might contend all the way into maybe an ALCS run here potentially for them. More on the baseball, though, in a moment. We got to hit the basketball. As last night, the Spurs made things very interesting. A 103-82 victory over the Thunder. They held OKC to their 82 points. That was a season low for the Thunder. Now, what do we attribute that to, JJ? Is it more SGA didn't have AJ Mitchell and J-Dub to knock down shots? Or is that something was unlocked defensively for the Spurs?
So I know a lot of people are going to take that particular path and say, hey, no Jalen Williams, no AJ. All of a sudden, San Antonio has found something. That's going to be the big narrative going into Game 5. I'm not going to run with that one. To me, that was such a classic desperation spot for the Spurs. They were down 2-1. Their season was on the line. You were going to get their very best. Wemby, they didn't turn the ball over. They locked down defensively. And I said it Sunday morning when we were doing the VSiN weekend morning line. I was all over the Spurs in the spot. I thought it was a great, great spot to go and take San Antonio after they got off 15-0, built that huge lead in game 3, and then got thoroughly whooped from that point forward. I think Oklahoma City is going to be fine here. Now, when I say they're going to be fine, they may have to go and win this baby in 7 games. I think it'll be a great spot to get back on them in game number 5. And then I think when it comes to 6 and 7, don't be surprised to see 7 games here. That was my feeling all along when this series got cooking. 2 evenly matched teams, slight edge to the Thunder because of their battle-tested nature and the fact they've been in the postseason, won a championship a year ago. 2 years ago, they were a number 1 seed. That experience factor kind of pushed me in the direction of taking OKC over the Spurs and the fact that they were a little bit deeper. But nobody should be surprised here that San Antonio was heard from. But to answer your question, no, I am not panicked yet if I'm Oklahoma City. I know some people might be, but I'm not.
Series tied up at 2s. Right now, the series price minus 220 with Oklahoma City, plus $1.80 with the Spurs, which if you like San Antonio, feels like a good spot to potentially bet them here. The secondary scoring is an issue, and I want to bring it to Chet Holmgren, because I don't know if you've seen some of the viral clips making the rounds from their youth, but this rivalry between Wemby and Chet Holmgren goes back a while, playing youth national basketball where Chet got the better of him. And I want to say it was either the Olympics or a big national AAU style tournament. Either way, Wemby has something out for Chet, and Chet does not play his best against Wembanyama. So far in this series, Chet Holmgren, 11.3 points per game. I feel like that's a key that they have to figure out a way to unlock if they're going to really, get past San Antonio in this spot. But I'm with you. I think the series goes 7. The one reason why I still lean Oklahoma City, I'm not sure if you caught this at the end of the broadcast last night, but they're lining up, shaking hands, walking off the floor. The Thunder couldn't have looked more carefree and loose coming off a loss with an even series. That is a battle-tested group that's been through this before. They've won a title. They're not in panic mode. And I think that's why you still would edge Oklahoma City, is all of that experience and championship pedigree.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And we saw OKC in a spot last year where they got their doors blown off. If you go back to game 6 against Indiana, similar situation. It was a closeout game. Game 6, Indiana was like, yeah, we're ready to go. And we're going to blow your doors off. We're going to smoke you every which way. And then we had the Halliburton injury in game 7. The Thunder end up going and winning the series. They've put in so many playoff games over the last few years. This is not a young team that hasn't been there before, where you wonder what their mental psyche is going to be. If Oklahoma City runs into trouble, it won't be because of what's between the ears. It's going to be due to these injuries that are taking their toll. The good news for them, they have so many different answers and so many different ways to beat you. Don't be surprised if McCain bounces back in game 5, or you get a little bit more out of Caruso, but they need Chet Holmgren to figure out what's going on. I get it's a tough matchup. I get he doesn't handle Wemby all too well. Figure it out, though. Need a better version of Chet in this series and then beyond when you take on the Knicks.
Game 5 back in OKC. Thunder 5.5 point favorites. Totals 215 and a hook. As far as game 4 tonight in the East is concerned, you got the Knicks laying 2 and a hook on the road. We open Cleveland -1. We're up to New York -2.5. The question is, where does this thing close? I would not be shocked to see a 3.5 on New York. As much as situationally I want to be a contrarian and think about taking the Cavs, that is a team that is so weak between the ears. Feels like they're in lay down and die mode. In fact, we saw it last game, right? We had Jalen Brunson dribbling around late in that game where, look, it was out of reach. They weren't going to come back, but they showed no dog in the fight. They did not have any sort of competitiveness and let him get right to the rack for a layup completely uncontested with a minute 20, minute 30 to go. I think it is a weak team that needs to be completely blown up. I have questions about whether they should bring back James Harden. I don't think they should. I also have questions about what Evan Mobley is. Is he a 2? Is he a 3? Can you win a championship with that guy as a key contributor? I really don't know. He's very up and down for me.
He's charm and soft. And listen, you can't make this line high enough. How are you betting the Cavs? honest question.
Yeah.
You could give me all the contrarian angles you'd like. You could tell me all the public's all over the Knicks. That may be true. How can you, in your right mind, watch this series, despite what Kenny Atkinson told you, and say, yeah, I want to go take Cleveland? If you were going to get a sense of desperation out of the Cavaliers, Dusty, I don't know if you feel this way. You would have gotten the desperation in game 3.
I bet it.
That's where you would have gotten the desperation. Let's be perfectly honest about something. This series is over. You guys can save the tape. You guys could poke fun at me if I'm dead wrong on this. Newsflash, I won't be. Whether this series is over tonight or whether this series is over on Wednesday, the Knicks are not losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not happening. Cleveland doesn't have answers for what the Knicks provide. The Knicks have toyed with them. You saw it in game 2. Game 3, even when Cleveland was making runs, there was never a particular point in the game where you felt like Cleveland was going to win. They can't guard them, Dusty. They can't guard them. Their bigs are all out of sorts. Harden is incredibly inefficient. Mitchell is incredibly inefficient. And the Knicks are a deeper, better basketball team. So I think a great way to play game 4, if you're a little leery based upon, a situational spot, I'd play some alternate spreads. The Knicks smoked the Atlanta Hawks in a closeout game in game 6. They smoked Philadelphia in a closeout game in game 4. And I think you could ladder these bad boys up. You could take the Knicks at -5.5 at +135. You could take them -8.5 right around 2-1. You could take them -10 if you like that at +260. I mean, Dusty, honest question. If the Knicks are going to win the game, do you think it's going to be close?
No. I think if the Knicks win it, it's going to be an embarrassing moment. And do you understand, for these Cleveland Cavaliers, what you have to do at this stage of the game in the year of our Lord 2026 to embarrass the sports fan in Cleveland, Ohio? This would be right up there. We're talking most talented, deepest team. Talent-wise, they're better than the Knicks. I love this Knicks team, but depth-wise, multitude of options, variety of style of play, Cleveland offers more talent in that regard. The Knicks are just a stronger-willed team. I think it's embarrassing, and I think the embarrassment continues tonight. I'm totally with you. Player prop-wise, you like something on the Knicks? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm riding with Mikal Bridges. He's been a different player since game 6 of the Atlanta series. He's gone over 14.5 points in every single game except for that game 4 blowout in Philly where he didn't play enough minutes. He's been great in this series. I think he continues to be involved and he's active in the mid-range. Over 14.5 points from Mikal Bridges.
I love that. He's shooting almost 46% from 3 right now in this series. I've got a couple props I like. They're both on the Cleveland side. One I love is Jarrett Allen. Look, you can question the toughness mentally of a lot of these guys for the Cavs like Mitchell and Harden. Jarrett Allen, in games 2 and 3, he went over his points and rebounds of 20.5. He has stepped up every time they've needed to in the playoffs. Game 6 and 7 against Toronto had 21 and 41. Down 0-2 to Detroit in game 3, he had 22. Game 6 and 7 versus Detroit, he had 21 and 30. Jarrett Allen's the one guy who comes through every time the Cavaliers need him. Let's go over 20.5 points and rebounds on him. And then I'm taking a flyer on a low number on Dean Wade, over 8.5 PRA. He went over in games 1 and 2. And I think if they're going to win Cleveland, it's because he makes an impact defensively. Dean Wade, needs to be on the floor more. Because of that, I think he's able just to get over that number of 8.5 PRA. Circa's 2026 football contests are open. You don't have to live in Las Vegas to play. After your required in-person registration, Winner's Circle Proxy handles your weekly submissions so you can make your picks from anywhere in the country. Schedule your appointment now at winnerscircleproxy.com.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Oh, we're tied up again at Camden Yards. 5-5, a reviewed play at the plate on a ball to the first baseman. Comes back home with it, and Cowser somehow gets his hand in around the tag. Baltimore, in the 12th inning, has tied it up 5-5 with the Rays. 1 out. Hopefully the Orioles can find a way to put me out of my misery and walk this thing off. I'm sick of monitoring this game. Welcome back into Follow the Money. I'm Dustin Sweetelson. He's John Jastrzemski. We got you covered for the next 3 days here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And why don't we start with that game and one of the teams involved with our next guest. He is Bob Nightingale, USA Today national baseball columnist at B Nightingale. You can find him over on X. and he joins John and I here on Memorial Day Monday. So, John, look, Tampa Bay, they very well might still win this game. They're 34-16 coming into this contest. They've won 9 straight series openers coming into today. At this point, would it be foolish to doubt them, or do you think the other shoe falls at some point with these Rays?
I think they're going to slow down. They're playing so far over their head. Remember, this is the kind of, I'm not going to say a rebuilding year, but a retooling year. You know, they made those moves in the off season, you know, trading away Boz and Lowe to kind of gear up for 2027, if not 2028. And they admitted to that. So I'm obviously not going to keep up this pace, but we'll see if they can, you know, stay in contention for the AL East title, you know, come August, September.
Bob, Tarik Skubal is going to be a name that everybody watches come the July 31st trade deadline, and he could obviously move a whole lot of markets. And there will be the big guns, the Yankees, even though their pitching staff is loaded when it comes to starters. The Dodgers are never out on anybody, so we all know that. But when it comes to a San Diego, maybe it's Toronto, maybe it's a team like the Milwaukee Brewers. What do you anticipate the market for Skubal looks like between now and the end of July?
I think it'd be like say maybe 5 teams involved. Obviously, the Dodgers will be in there. Yankees will be in there. Blue Jays, Padres. I'm not sure who else. I don't think Atlanta. Remember, he's still going to have about $11 million coming to him. You gotta pay. So I'm not, sure the Brewers will do that. Atlanta has always, been very cautious with that sort of thing. Where I don't think it probably come down to Dodgers, Yankees, Blue Jays, really.
Now, Bob, with so much up in the air as far as next season is concerned, there's anticipation potentially of a salary cap coming as well. How active do you anticipate the deadline being? And is there any world where teams are starting to make moves earlier than expected? Because with a salary cap coming, a salary floor coming, that's going to impact how they have to all run their franchises going forward. Do you anticipate this to be chaotic as we approach the summer months?
No, I think it'd be business as usual. I really do. If there's a work stoppage, last time we had 99 days, they still got all the games in, just, cut down spring training. So, if there's a lockout, there should be a lockout, but I don't anticipate it going long. And we'll see if there's some kind of salary cap or some kind of harsher salary restrictions to go along with that floor. If that happens, you're still going to have the grandfather teams in there. I mean, I can't see that, all of a sudden, hey, you're stuck at this money. Not when guys have big contracts like the Mets do, Dodgers, Padres, probably say, hey, you got to be under a certain amount of money or these restrictions, like 5 years from now, not right away.
Bob, I live in New York. The Mets had high hopes going into the year. Yes, they remade their entire lineup, but they spent a ton of money. Bo Bichette, $40+ million a year. They go and add Freddie Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers. They're getting smoked by the Cincinnati Reds. They're about to be double-digit games under 500. They're in last place in the NL East. Fair to say the Mets, the biggest disappointment so far 2 months into the year?
I would say, yeah, Mets 1, maybe Tigers 1A. Tigers were supposed to get to the World Series. Nobody was saying about the Mets. I don't think even picked the Mets to make the playoffs, but they're supposed to be better than this. But everybody had the Tigers making the playoffs, and maybe running away with the AL Central, and they've been a bitter disappointment. Like I said, right there with the Mets. Honestly, there's not that big a difference just because of the high hopes. And nobody was picking the Mets to get to the World Series, but a lot of folks are picking the Tigers to get to the World Series. And I thought they would too.
Bob Nightingale is our guest, MLB columnist for USA Today at B Nightingale. You can find him over on X. Now, it's Memorial Day, Bob, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are 2 games above 500, 28 and 26, and they've got a young core reliant on a lot of great pitching. Lineup looks better than it has in years past. Is that a team that you think is willing to make some moves here and to add to the roster, potentially make a pennant push? Or do you think they kind of sit pat and use this as a building year, even if they were to, say, miss the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they might make some minor moves. I can't see a major thing. they're not going to trade away their prize prospects because, they've been working so hard to get them. I mean, working so hard in the sense of losing all the years to get them. So you can't just, if they give away some prize prospects and then they don't make the playoffs, it's a complete disaster. So, no, I think minor moves and more geared toward next year. I think they're, 1 year away, from being a serious contender to win the NL Central.
Bob, two teams in the American League that have been spunky. The A's, I was going to call them the Oakland A's. I feel like people are going to be doing that forever. Soon to be Vegas A's, Sacramento. You get my drift. The baseball team that is wearing those beautiful, beautiful uniforms. And then you have a Chicago White Sox team that I thought would be better than they've been in years past. They had a win total in the low to mid 60s. They're right around that 500 mark. Who, in your opinion, more likely to go and have some fun this summer and maybe push for a playoff spot? Is it the A's or the White Sox?
Definitely the A's. I mean, the White Sox are still, full skill rebuild. And so, at some point, being a 160-game season, it starts to level off. So I can't see him being, a 500 team. At least they won't lose 100 games. Hey, if they win 75 games, it's a great season. I thought they were still 2 years away. Maybe they're just 1 year away from being a contender. But no, I don't see it lasting at all. In the A's, I thought next year was going to be their year. And it still may be. I just think with the division being so bad right now, it's allowed them to hang around. I'm not sure they're that much better than this, but, Seattle and Texas, you keep waiting for them to do something, and they haven't. I think they will at some point, particularly because I think both will be a lot more urgent than the A's. What worries me about the A's is just the pitching. That's why I think come this winter, I think the A's will be very aggressive in the pitching market, and telling their guys, hey, just one more year in that bandbox. Then you get to be in a major league stadium again. Vegas, you're on the Strip, no state taxes. So I think it'll be a big player in the free agent market.
Speaking of pitching, earlier today, Jacob Misiorowski, 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 12 strikeouts in Milwaukee's 5-1 win over the Cardinals. Bob, we've seen his Cy Young odds drop all the way to plus 320. He's now the second shot on the board behind Chris Sanchez at plus 210. Paul Skeens is now third on the board at plus 440, followed by Chris Sale and Shohei Ohtani. How do you feel about the Miz kid and his chances of contending for that award?
Yeah, right now I would say, right there with the Sanchez and Ohtani. I think Skeens, this back-to-back starts now where he hasn't been the Skeens of old. But I think he's definitely ahead of Skeens. And when you're, putting together, these lengthy innings, and this is he tied his career high again with 7 innings, tied his career high again with 12 strikeouts. That wakes you up in a hurry. So I think he's right there with Ohtani. Ohtani is just with that ERA so low. That's why I think it might be a toss-up if the vote went to the writers today. I think that would be a tough call.
I like to hear that as someone who has bets on Ohtani and Misiorowski. He is Bob Nightingale. You can read him over at USA Today and on X at B Nightingale. We appreciate the time as always, Bob. We'll chat soon.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right, it's Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's John Jastremski. I'm Dustin Sweetelson. And a guy JJ and I have both bet on for AL MVP just left the yard at Kauffman. Bobby Witt Jr., 108.7.
What I tell you, Dusty, about to get hot. I told you.
432 feet. Royals out in front of the Yankees, 3-2 in the 8th inning. Kansas City. All right, we're going to do it later on the show. Our 3 futures, 1/3 of the way through the season. I really consider Kansas City being one of my 3. Maybe this is kismet. Maybe we're supposed to be on the air together for a reason to start thinking about long shots on the board. You can get a big fat number in Kansas City to win the American League still. This could be the time where they start to make their push.
I have a lot of Kansas City futures
Me too.
that I had left for dead, including Bobby Witt Jr. for AL MVP. Hey, you're in the right division to go and make a run. The American League Central is dying for a team to come out of nowhere. Hey, we saw with the Guardians last year, and Dusty 2 years ago, we saw with the Tigers. Maybe it could be the Royals in 2026.
All right, we'll do that coming up next. At 1/3 way through the season, our 3 favorite futures in Major League Baseball on Follow the Money.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Follow the Money, Dustin Sweetelson, John Jastrzemski in for the boys. Mitch and Paul here on a Monday. We'll be in Tuesday and Wednesday as well, as we've got baseball all over the place. We've got a huge game on the wood, another one on the ice, going to Canada. We're going back to the Bell Center. I saw a shot outside of the arena earlier. A lot of Canadian sweaters outside. It's going to be rocking. Canadians have not been good at home, though, in the playoffs. The thing is, if you go back and look, the first game at home, they do well. I feel like it's an intimidation factor for the opposing team. It's the second game at home that they've been losing. So I do think the Canadians would be the right side tonight. Now, no matter how this baseball game goes, John, the Baltimore Orioles were never the right side today. I don't care we're in extra innings. I don't care that it's the 13th inning. Tampa Bay went up 7-5 here in the 12th inning. And then moments ago, Baltimore just plated a run to make it 7-6 with 2 outs. I swear to God, this bet won't die. I bet Baltimore plus 115.
I was going to say, Dusty,
overnight.
when is this game going to end? My goodness.
There's 2 outs, and I know Baltimore is either losing it here or tying it up. They will not win it. At some point, I got to bet Tampa Bay. There's 2 outs. There's runners on first and third. Jackson Holliday's up with his 133 average. It feels like this is the spot for the Rays to put the end of the Orioles here, but who the heck knows at this point?
You're going to learn a valuable lesson from me today, my friend. Not that I am one to give out much wisdom. I'm not, but we're buddies now. You know, you have the New York Report, I have the New York Report, so I'm trying to help a New York brother out. Stop betting against the Rays. Like, let them go lose a bunch of games in a row, and then you could start fading them. You got to be, dude. You don't want to be in front of that voodoo right now.
All right,
you just don't.
That's a fly ball to right center, and did that bounce or was it caught? Oh, there was no out. Tying run just scored from third. 7-7. This game will not die. Jackson Holliday with a sac fly. I couldn't see. I thought there was 2 outs. There was nobody out. You know, sometimes when the 2 dots aren't lit up, it looks like they're lit up to me.
I understand that. These graphic boards can do us, play some dirty tricks on us. Especially when you're watching 10 zillion games. I know you're at Circle right now. I'm jealous because, you know, I love that place. Can't wait to get out there to do a show at some point. It's the best.
Well, here's what we're going to do. Oh, I can't do it. It just flipped. All right, the smart thing to do right now for me to take Tampa Bay, I can take them plus 185. That's better than my Orioles plus 115. Theoretically, I will be up either way. I'm not laying a price.
But you know what's
here.
gonna? Here's the problem with that, though. Here's the problem with that.
The original bet will hit.
The minute you fire in on that bet, the Baltimore Orioles are going to win again.
Tampa Bay's 2-1 right now. I can get a juicy number. This is the torture of being a bettor and looking for that in game. I gotta stay with the Orioles. As gross as it feels,
I think you do. Stay the course.
As torturous as it is.
Don't do it again, but stay the course.
Yeah. Never again bet against these Tampa Bay Rays. All right, we hit on it right before the break. Bobby Witt just hit a home run to left center, makes it a 3-2 game against your Yankees. I know you have some issues with what Aaron Boone did there in terms of managing the bullpen.
I sure do. Now, let me make something abundantly clear. The Yankees are going to lose this game because their offense has just been absolutely dead.
Yeah, what is going on?
It's been absolutely atrocious for the better part of a week. Despite what the numbers may tell you, the Yankees kind of feast off of bad pitching. And when they face certain guys, they give them fits. When they face elite level pitching, they don't hit. You saw that against the Rays. Walker's given him a hard time for a long, long time. So they didn't touch Michael Walker today. That's the reason the Yankees are going to lose. I say all of that. I know the Yankee bullpen is not great. It is the heart of the Kansas City order. It's Bobby Witt Jr., it's Pasquantino, it's Sally Perez. Jake Bird cannot be pitching the bottom half of the 8th inning. Yeah. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, you've been using your guys too much. Oh, they're overworked. They didn't play on Saturday. What kind of crap is that?
Oh, my God.
Nonsense. Did you get a win?
Colton Cowser with another walk-off home run, back-to-back days. Baltimore with the
Oriole
win.
Magic. Good for you. Good for you.
Stay the course. Colton Cowser pinch hit home run yesterday to send the Tigers home, a real dagger in their season. And now today against Tampa Bay, they win it in 13, 9-7. Your final score at Camden Yards. Absolutely wild game here. Having a
classic
good start.
The Yankees, by the way. You're going to get a Tampa loss. They can't even take advantage.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about this, though, real quick. Your Yankees, right now in the 8th inning. So we're in the bottom of the 8th. We're looking at one more at bat coming for them potentially in the 9th. They're plus 583. facing a Kansas City bullpen that has been so bad. We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, seventh worst bullpen ERA in all of baseball. I want to see who's due up for the Yankees because that's going to impact here. But I don't hate the idea of taking your boys. It looks like it might be the middle bottom. I think Jazz, Volpe, Escara. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not looking to bet your
Don't
Yankees
love that.
again.
Love that.
I could be wrong, but I that's what it looks like
I'll
at
pass.
first
I already
glance.
unfortunately bet the game, which is going to be a loser, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm on that under, which feeling good about here as Bo Bichette just went the other way for the New York Mets in the fifth inning, trailing the Reds 7-0. Good God. New York just continues to amaze everyone. And then in third inning, our Diamondbacks bet looking pretty good there, John. 1-0. Arizona with the lead on the road in San Francisco. They're minus 163 favorites, plus $1.25 with the Giants. 6.5 your in-game total, but we went plus 110 on Arizona. Nice little start.
It is a nice little start. The Arizona Diamondbacks, aren't they one of those teams that the wise guys have wanted to adopt over the last few years? I don't know if you feel this way, Dusty. I feel like you talk to people that are like the real short baseball bettors, and they've had a lot of quote unquote love affairs with the Diamondbacks. Maybe this is going back to that great postseason run they had a couple years ago. They got all the way to the World Series. I feel like I've been betting the Arizona Diamondbacks isn't over. It feels like rinse repeat over and over again.
So for starters, that World Series where they lost the Rangers was my favorite World Series of all time. Because as a bettor,
okay, please share.
As a bettor, I had 25-1 on the Rangers and I had 80-1 on the Diamondbacks to win the World Series.
You love that. You know what? You're like Gray Sports Almanac at that point. For those of you who haven't seen Back to the Future 2, shame on you. But in this book, I can't lose. That's you right there, buddy boy. You can't lose.
It was my favorite World Series because of that. Arizona's core, I love. But the running it back pitching with bringing Merrill Kelly back after trading him. And look, he's been good today, but he's getting older. He's old. He's like 37, 38 years old, somewhere in that range. He's older than you think. And then Zach Gallen, who was a Cy Young candidate every year for the first few years of his career, has completely fallen off as well. This team, if it had a frontline ace, a true stopper, I would love them as a team to buy in on because I love Corbin Carroll. He's a complete throwback to like way back in the day, some of those top players we saw in the history of baseball. We've got a guy in Ketel Marte who they thought about trading and I think rightfully kept him as one of their best players. I really like this group. It's just they don't have the pitching. I need them to find some arms.
And that's why when you look at the markets in the National League, you kind of can't take them seriously. Maybe you want to take a stab on them to go and make the postseason. But like you can't imagine yourself living in a world where Arizona is going deep into the National League. The question I'm trying to figure out is outside of the big two, and I think we're in agreement on this, the Dodgers and the Braves, without question, a big two in the National League. You would agree?
100%. And the Braves are the best threat to the Dodgers because they can mash with them. You want to play that game, they're ready for that style of play.
Well, and Dusty, they've played well against the Dodgers.
Yep.
That's the other. See, the Brewers have in the regular season, it's a totally different animal because they get to the postseason and they don't have the horsepower within their lineup. The Braves, I know they lost Freddie Freeman, but they played in a postseason series and beat the Dodgers. I know it was a long time ago, but there's something to that.
Well, and when we talk about buying low on teams too, with the Braves, you may be running out of time to get 10-1 or greater to win the World Series. Not only are they a tough matchup for the Dodgers, but you have a GM in Alex Anthopoulos. Let's go back to 2021 when they won the World Series. He made key moves, Jorge Soler and a few others that put them over the top, which resulted in them winning that World Series. I think you got a GM who knows he's got a core that's really, really good. They always have prospects. They always find arms. I think this is a GM that will be ultra aggressive to capitalize on this window, to try and win a second ring. And I think the Walt Weiss factor has paid dividends. I mean, Snitker had a good run. He won a championship. This team has responded to Walt Weiss, and I think the Braves are very much legit. That is the biggest threat in the National League to the Dodgers.
No question about it. And we're going to do a little segment a little bit later on as far as some future plays that we have for the Major League Baseball season. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tease. The Atlanta Braves, Dusty, might be featured in one of those three futures, I'm going to give out.
You know what? They were almost on my list. They were fourth on my list. So we were very much simpatico as far as that is concerned. Top of the ninth at Kaufman, Royals 3-2 over the Yankees. Paul Goldschmidt, the first batter for Lucas Ercegon, who's got a live arm, but we'll see if the Yankees can do something to make some magic happen. And if you're looking for best bets, betting splits, 24/7 video here at VSiN, we got a great deal for you. The best VSiN Pro offer of the year. It's your final week to get it. Normally $240. It's just $199. 14 months VSiN Pro access, less than 50 cents a day. All you have to do is use the promo code PRO when you go to vsin.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Promo code is PRO. Offer expires May 31st, so do not wait.